Hey everybody, this is Nate Walker, bringing you my portion of the expert slides from the book Principles Matter by Sanders and Sheldon, Chapter 1. The two sections that I worked on and that I'm bringing to you today is math and community partnerships and then science and community partnerships. So I'm going to start with the math since that's the way it started in the chapter in this. Um, Math being considered one of the core subjects that are in schools, um, but it also seems to be one of those that has a lot of fear from the students and a lot of apprehension, and a lot of that comes back from the way families are and the way that families feel, and their attitudes towards math are going to affect those as well. And so, if you have parents in a community that has a fear or a frustration with math, that can lead into the classroom as well. And so, um, schools that have been successful have had great benefits by having well-established community programs that allow that partnership in the classroom, and maybe things like community math nights or different events that bring the parents and the community into the classroom and get to see those activities and work with the kids on those. Also, another thing that has been very beneficial is gearing homework towards more of a parental involvement type thing. So there's got to be that communication between the student and the parent. There's got to be that partnership. Now, obviously, families where maybe one parent family and that parent's working, those can have some counter benefits in that area as well. But it is one of those things that has seen some opportunities that have helped to increase that connection and increasing that attitude towards mathematics in the home, in the family, and in the community itself. Um, Scores for schools that do a lot of these involvements, or there's a better attitude in the community towards them and math. They do have a lot higher test scores, and that's kind of obvious. Where obviously, if the attitude is better about it, probably the scores are going to follow with that. Okay. Good positive climates too. These communities that are able to make these connections and are able to have these math nights and different things um, have better results. And so, kind of the underlying conclusion for this part is that higher math achievement is the result of more positive attitudes towards math. And so, maybe it's not always about teaching the math, but changing the attitude towards math. As for science, the next category, science and community partnerships, kind of falls along the same lines. They are finding that the more parental and more community involvement there is, the better the test scores tend to be in the way that students have. And a lot of it comes back to the attitude towards science. If they got parents at home that didn't like science or had bad science experiences when they were in school, generally their attitude is going to be a little bit lower, and that's going to portray to the student. So having to change that attitude or that mindset that's at home is very, very important. Although there's a lot less research in the sciences area because it's not one of those major cores, even though it's part of your core subjects, doesn't match the math and the like the math and the reading and those types of subjects. Um, and one thing that they did notice is that low income families generally have students that are a bigger part of that achievement gap. And so, um, and maybe this is because one of the things that they have found that does help students be successful is frequent trips to places such as like museums and libraries and zoos, all those other things that are in a community that do have kind of a science background to it. And so low income families maybe don't get the opportunity to partake in those type of trips as families or those activities, and that can kind of have a negative effect on that. So um, one of the biggest things that they talked about in here was that it's a positive attitude about science, and developing that positive attitude then results in a better connection and better opportunity for the student and better scores. So overall, for both of them, it obviously comes down to an idea of more of an attitude change, not so much what it is that they are teaching specifically, but changing the attitude about the subject and making it fun and making it understandable and maybe real world applicable. Has a little bit more of an effect to that. So, thank you.